Hello, thanks for having me. I'm Chef Mandisa Horn from Horn O Plenty Freshtaurant, and today is Vegetable Day at the farm show. And we are cooking up roasted root tacos with a carrot top chimichurri. And on the side, we're making a quinoa black bean salad and a caldo verde, which is a potato soup with kale and all kinds of deliciousness. So let's get started. Step one, you want to gather your roots. And I suggest that you go to the local farmer's market to find whatever your favorite roots are. Or you can go to Giant, and they also have local vegetables there as well. Then you want to wash your roots really well. And then after that, you want to cut the roots to generally the same size. So that way they have the same even cooking time. After that, you want to get your oil. I use avocado oil, but you can use whatever you want. And your seasonings. I used coriander and cumin. And you want to toss the roots with salt and pepper and your seasonings in the oil. And I'm just gonna put a little salt and pepper and my seasonings. Then you want to roast them. Once you have your roots lightly oiled and seasoned, put them in the oven at 350 for approximately a half an hour until they're soft. Don't forget to check them. On to the quinoa salad. Next, you're gonna wanna cut the acorn squash in half and put it on a roasting sheet. And don't forget to take out those delicious pepitas, the seeds that are inside them. And you can wash them and stick those on the tray as well, because we're gonna garnish with those and they're gonna be a delicious garnish. And you can also add your garlic right on the sheet without actually taking the skins off. So we're going to put those in the oven at 350 and bake until the acorn squash are just soft and the seeds are toasty. Don't forget to check them. Next, you're gonna wanna toast your quinoa because there are oils in it that you want to dissipate. They're actually bitter oils. So you don't need any oil in the pan, just the quinoa itself. And you wanna toast it or heat it until it sounds like this. Then once it sounds like this and you can smell it, it smells like a nut. Then you can add your vegetable broth, your onions, your parsley, and don't forget your black beans. Once that's all in the pot, you're gonna wanna cover it and let it cook for about 15 minutes on very low heat until all the water is absorbed by the quinoa. So while the squash is roasting and the roots are roasting, we're gonna move on to the caldo verde. So starting with the caldo verde, you're gonna wanna put oil in your pot and add your onion. And then you're gonna just saute that up and let that cook nice until it's just about soft or translucent. Then you're gonna wanna chop, while that's sauteing, you can chop these potatoes and add your potatoes along with your broth into the pot. Meanwhile, we're going to focus on the greens, the verde part of the soup. And so I chose kale, but you can use collard greens or any other green, a Swiss chard, something like that. So what you want is very thin strips, julienne strips. So, and how to get that is to take the leaf off the stem of your green. I do the tender part, just there we go. And then you just stack it, like so. And then you can even roll it up to make it just manageable. And then you thinly slice your kale. You're gonna set this aside once you have about what the recipe calls for, if you're doubling or tripling or whatever. And you're gonna use that in the soup at the end. Now that my potatoes are nice and cooked up with all the sausage seasoning, and I put a pinch of cayenne pepper and hot pepper flakes that I like, it's ready to be blended. I like the consistency of a little bit chunky, but if you like smoother, then you can use an immersion blender or a blender of any sort. So I'm just going to mash these potatoes until I get the consistency that I like. Okay, once that's done, then you add your greens to it, to the potatoes that are blended. And then I like to add a little slivers of sun-dried tomatoes in oil. It's in the recipe. I think the PA Preferred website has it. And I'm just gonna stick those in there. And I'm gonna mix this up and put it back on the heat and let it get really delicious. On to the delicious carrot top chimichurri. So I took off the carrot tops. Now if you can't find carrot tops, you can use parsley, cilantro, or a mixture, which is what the recipe that I have calls for. So I'm just going to take the tops off the carrots and remove the stem that isn't tender. So anything that's kind of tough, just take that off and line up your greens, your carrot greens. Now, carrot greens are a little bitter, but that's what makes them so delicious too. They have a really great actual carrot flavor. So a lot of people, when they're throwing these away, are actually, could be using them in something like a chimichurri or soup or salad even. So, but anyway, so you just line up all your carrot greens and you just want to rough chop. Once you rough chop your carrot greens like this, you're gonna wanna put them in, at this point you can put them in a blender, you can put them in a mortar and pestle, which is what I'm gonna use, so that way you can kind of see it and smell it and be there for the whole entire process. Also, I just went ahead and did up some parsley the same way and also some cilantro. So I'm gonna put my carrot top, my parsley, and my cilantro in there with my garlic, and I'm gonna throw a serrano pepper. You can add a chili pepper if you want. So I'm gonna slice a chili pepper. And the reason why I'm slicing it is so that way it's already partially broken down. It doesn't fly out of your mortar and pestle. But if you wanted to stick it whole in the blender, take the stem off, I'd suggest. But other than that, and I'm gonna use a little bit of salt to help break it down. And also, it calls for salt, so might as well start now. While I'm pounding this, I'm actually waiting for my walnuts to get done toasting. So I have my walnuts back here. It's a little hot. I have my walnuts back here to toast, and they smell really nice. Actually, kind of just like we did the quinoa. So they smell nice and toasted, and that just adds another dimension. You don't even have to toast your walnuts if you don't want to. I'm gonna add my walnuts now because I just want them chopped up a little bit, pulverized a little bit, not too much. But by the time I'm done, it'll be perfect. Okay, there's the start to my chimney, and here's the end. That, and I'm gonna taste test. Don't forget to taste test everything, because if I would have taste tested that, I would have realized I didn't put the lime, which is the nice acid. So I'm going to cut this lime in half, and I'm just gonna use a spoon. You can use whatever, a lime, you have a citrus squeezer, a press. I just put a spoon in the middle and just go at it. There's all the lime. And that's gonna go on the delicious roasted root tacos. Now that this is all mixed up, we're gonna add this to our delicious roasted root tacos, and we're gonna save part of it to add to our chipotle lime creme to go in our quinoa salad. And the quinoa salad should look something like this. So now we're gonna make the chipotle lime creme, and I went ahead and added the oil and the chipotle peppers with the adobo sauce in this blender. I'm gonna add the cumin and the coriander and a pinch of Spanish paprika. I'm gonna start with the lime, the other half. Lime juice. And the cream. You can use sour cream, yogurt. You don't even have to use cream at all if you don't want to. And the chimichurri that we saved. Okay, that's about right. And now we're gonna blend this up and add it to our salad. Sorry. Okay, so we have this. Delicious lime chipotle creme. And I'm just adding it to the salad and tossing. I'm throwing in some parsley, fresh parsley and cilantro. And moving on to the tacos. Next, to assemble the tacos, I'm gonna toast the white corn tortilla shell on a hot cast iron. So you can use a cast iron at home, you can use a regular pan, or you can even do it in the broiler. So I'm just waiting for it to kind of bubble and toast on the one side, and then I'm gonna quickly flip it to the other side. And so I'm just gonna do that with this so I don't freak it out. There we go. And see, it's getting a nice brown to it. Then after that, we're gonna stuff them with the roasted roots and then top it with the chimichurri. So I have my nice hot roasted roots and I'm going to mix them up so I can stuff them in the toasted taco shells, tortilla shells. And you can also add meat to these as well. You know, this is vegetable day at the farm show, so we are using our vegetables. And then you just add it, top it with a little of the chimichurri, and it is fantastic. Then I'm gonna take the quinoa salad and stuff my acorn squash. Now I know in the recipe it says to chop up the acorn squash and add it to the salad, but here's a variation that I find most delicious. And here is the finished product of the caldo verde soup. And here is our whole entire meal. Thank you for having me.